Good evening. We want to welcome you to the broadcast. Thank you for joining. My name is John Mayfield, and I'm joined by Terry Dixon from Navy Federal Credit Union. And Terry is going to be doing the bulk of the presentation today. It's not a long presentation, and so just kind of sit back, relax. We want to encourage you to ask questions. You can type those in by either typing those in, or you have a little virtual hand in the chat box. If you want to raise your hand, you can do that, and we will unmute you to let you ask a question. However, we do want to remind folks we are recording the webinar, and it will also be online for playback. And so if you're watching a recorded version of this, naturally we won't be able to answer your questions, but hopefully someone else might ask the same question you're thinking about. However, you can always call or email Terry or myself. I have my phone number up above, and we'll both have our contact information in just shortly. A couple of quick things before we get started, and I tell you a little bit about Terry Dixon. Again, my name is John Mayfield. I'm a licensed real estate broker in Missouri and Florida. I'm in Southeast Missouri. Now we've invited folks from all over the United States. I do some Facebook advertising, so some of you may have seen this specific advertisement on Facebook about how to get a VA loan, and you may be saying, well, how can John Mayfield in Southeast Missouri help me if I'm in Texas? And that's a great question. My job as a real estate professional is naturally to help folks here in Southeast Missouri and Florida. However, in the real estate industry, we have the ability to work with other brokers and agents around the country. We do referrals all the time. And so I will have my contact information up at the end of the webinar. I will give that to you. You have my website and phone number, and Terry will have his information. So it really doesn't matter where you are located throughout the United States. If you find a home and you are a veteran and you want to get a VA loan, and by the way, Terry will mention he does other types of loans besides VA loans, we can help you with that. And so you can contact me and say, hey, John, I'm in New Mexico, but I want to buy a home. And I think I've talked to Terry, I'm pre-qualified. I will then put you in touch. I'm going to protect you and make sure you get in touch with the right person, the right real estate agent who has the right credentials that I'm looking for, so that you can find that perfect home you're looking for and be able to get a great VA loan. So that's just what I wanted to share with you. It doesn't matter if you're watching this after hours or wherever you are in the United States, contact me and I'll make sure that you get the right real estate professional to help you get the home of your dreams. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this webinar with Terry Dixon is because he's done some loans for me, and it's been, I guess about a year ago, Terry, I closed two loans in the same week. They were both VA loans. And what was interesting, they were both almost the same price, maybe within just $3,000 or $4,000 of each other. First of all, Terry closed that loan a lot quicker than the other gentleman. Now, I'm not saying anything derogatory about the other lender, but Terry got the loan closed quicker. My client who went through Terry saved a lot of money on closing cost. And thirdly, Terry just kept me updated and informed throughout the process, and my client, the buyer. And as a real estate professional, that's very important. I've been in real estate since the age of 18 in 1978. So you can do the math. I've been in real estate 37 years. I have worked with hundreds of real estate agents and hundreds of loan officers in the real estate business. And when you find a loan officer you like, who's a straight shooter and works well with you, you just don't let go of them. And that's why I was so impressed with Terry, and I was so pleased with the results my client had. I said, I've got to get this guy on to do some VA webinars for me. And thirdly, or the last thing I'll say before I let Terry begin, because he's a great guy and he's a straight shooter. I want you to know that up front. And you don't have to be, sometimes people say, well, I wasn't in the Navy, I was in the Army. That's okay. And Terry will explain that to you. But I think more importantly, what I want folks to understand who have this VA entitlement is that it is a great way to buy a home. I mean, it's really probably one of the best opportunities you have. And there are folks, and Terry will mention this as well, I'm sure, there are folks that I've worked with who are 50, 55 years old. They've never owned a home in their life. And I just happened to ask them, are you a veteran? And they're like, yes. And they said, well, I just never really thought about it because it seemed complicated or too overwhelming. And it's really not. It's a wonderful way for you to use your VA entitlement to get a home or to even refinance your home. So, Terry, I've said enough. I've talked way too much, but I did want the folks to know you can help them regardless of what service they have served in. And we appreciate all of our veterans. Thank you so much. And secondly, I can help you wherever you are in the United States. I want you to know that. I'm here for you, and you don't owe me any money for that. I'll work that out with the person that I'm putting you in touch with, so it's free of charge for me to put you in touch with the right agent. And Terry can work with you wherever you are throughout the country. So Terry, thank you for joining us. Terry's going to, I'm running the PowerPoints for him, so he'll tell me when to go to the next slide, which I'm going to do right now. And Terry, I'm going to let you take it away.
And again, as always, Mr. Mayfield, thank you so much for the kind words. It's always very humbling to hear that sincere appreciation, and it really is something that here at Navy Federal that we really pride ourselves on, especially us as our loan officers, to give that, that first-class service and have a smooth transaction from beginning to end. And mainly when we're dealing with such a high volume of our veterans, and as John and Mr. Mayfield said earlier, every day it's such a blessing to be able to, when we're on the phone with these guys, these men and women, and telling them, to how much we appreciate their service and thanking them for their service. And it's an amazing job, and I absolutely love it. And then to also have that opportunity, as Mr. Mayfield pointed out, to have a transaction that is going right there, right next to another VA loan, and with your experience to be able to see without question the difference when you're looking at two identical loans. And I don't have as much experience as Mr. Mayfield does in the industry, but I did hit my 12-year mark on the 5th of December this past year, so that was pretty exciting. So I'm on my way, but I haven't got that many years yet. But it is something that you can always learn with, and when you surround yourself with good realtors and you're working for such a great company as Navy Federal, to focus on that relationship, working together with our realtors and their clients and our members to overall and achieve their home ownership. So tonight, what I'm going to basically be talking about some of our hot topics. We're going to talk about some of our advantages and our promotions that we have here at Navy Federal. We're going to touch on some of the traditional standard mortgage products and mortgage loans, and then some that are just Navy Federal one-of-a-kind products that Navy Federal only offers to their members, and those products are serviced with Navy Federal for the life of the loan as well. And then we'll touch on briefly how to become a member of Navy Federal and the ways to do that as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead on the next slide. We're going to go ahead and start on the advantages that we have at Navy Federal. Next slide, please. All right, so a lot of our, as Mr. Mayfield had mentioned earlier, and you're going to see this is one of our major advantages, that we are able and licensed to do mortgages in all 50 states. So no matter where you're at, no matter where you're located, if you're transferring, relocating, or if that's where you currently live and work, we can do the loan in that state. And if you do not have a realtor, then we'll direct you to Mr. Mayfield, so that if it's not in one of his areas or his region, then he'll direct you to that particular realtor as well, and just kind of keep that communication and that relationship building on taking care of everyone. The most things that we get asked when we are working with a mortgage is what is our rate, and this is the rate that I saw, or this is the rate that I heard or seen or someone told me, or this is the rate that the other lender, bank, or investor has. Well, with Navy Federal, we are very, very competitive with our rates. We also match and beat any of our members, our competitors' rates, and we're going to discuss that in a slide here, in another slide to come, which you'll see. We also have our multiple different pricing for our rates and our rate options. We have our standard rate lock, where we lock the rate when you apply and you're ready to go with it. If you're not ready to lock, we can actually float that rate to lock it whenever you're ready, or whenever, if the market is going to improve. Our Freedom Lock is an internal promotion that we have where Navy Federal, without you having to do anything at all, your rate will automatically be lowered up to 0.25% if the rate's improved after you have already locked your loan. So that's another great way that we can take care of our members and our veterans and anyone who's actually working on a file, and it's up to about 14 business days before we close. If the rates have improved anytime from the start of your file to about 14 business days before you close, the rate, if there's any improvements in the rates, we will automatically lower that rate for you at no additional cost or fee. If you go through myself as your loan officer, if you go online and you do it yourself, there is a fee, and we'll discuss that. But it's always best just to work with your loan officer, let them know what your needs and wants are, and we'll make sure it's taken care of. We do have rate locks where you can lock it. These are mainly for individuals who are doing a new home construction, is where I see most of the extended rate terms in those commitments. We have them up for 90 days to 180 days. There is a small fee for that extension on that rate, but our standard rate lock is 60 days with no additional costs for that rate lock period of 60 days. The next bottom part of the slide here that you're going to see is our pre-approval loans. Our pre-approval loans, that's where you have actually contacted myself. I have actually looked at your credit report. I've completed a full mortgage application for you, and we have applied for our loan options. And you can see here we have no private mortgage insurance, or PMI as it refers to on the slide there, on many of our conventional products. We have 100% financing on not only just our VA loans, but for all of our realtors out there. Most who have, if you haven't ever worked with us before, or most who have worked with us before, really like that second from the bottom bullet point there, the 100% financing for loans that are not VA. So for our conventional loans, we do have 100% no money down loans, and we'll discuss those in slides to come as well. And then of course we also do our jumbo loans, which require only a 10% down payment, and they also have no PMI or MI on the payment as well. And then one of my favorite things working outside of Navy Federal prior to coming here and doing a good bit of years of 100% commission, one of the things I always heard from my members in the loans that I was closing was, well, who am I going to make my payments to? Or Terry, when I close and I make my first payment, is my loan going to be sold to 4 or 5 different lenders, investors, and constantly never knowing who it's going to be? Well, here at Navy Federal, we are going to service the loan for the life of the loan. So anytime you have any questions or anytime you need anything on the loan, you're going to be able to pick up the phone, give me a call, shoot me a text, email me, and we can always get you in touch with the individual if need be to handle that part of the mortgage payment if you need any help with that. The next option down is for our realtors, our Realty Plus. We work just as we are with Mr. Mayfield here to put on the webinar for you guys tonight. We also have options where if you're needing a realtor in that area, then we do have options for our Realty Plus program, and it is going to be basically where if you need someone to work with and they live in that area and they know the area very, very well, and you have not ever spoken to myself or Mr. Mayfield, that would be the option that you would take if you have never ever spoken to myself or Mr. Mayfield. It's just to let you know we do have options there. The middle of the slide here, the dividends on escrow accounts. As I mentioned, working several years outside of Navy Federal as a 100% commission loan officer, this is absolutely something that I love about my job and working here. When you close with us at Navy Federal, your payment is going to have an escrow payment with your taxes and insurance on there, especially if you're doing a VA 100% no money down. Navy Federal sets that account up for you in your name, and you're the only one who's going to make money off your money. So you're actually going to collect the interest and dividends off your own escrow account each month. Whereas other banks, lenders, and investors, they're there to make money. That's how they make their money, is collecting interest. So they put all that money into a large escrow portfolio with all the other mortgages, and they collect the interest off of it. Well, at Navy Federal, we don't do that. We actually do not see that as a benefit to our members, and so therefore the escrow account will be set up in your name, and you'll collect the interest and dividends off of it each month. These advantages, as you can see, they just get better and better, and I get more excited as the slides come up. No prepayment penalty on our loans, which I absolutely love. Being able to do a mortgage in any state in the United States is a plus. So no matter where, if you're one of our veterans or you're currently an active duty military personnel, no matter where you're stationed, no matter where you're at, Navy Federal can do the loan for you and handle your banking options as well. We also have our current promotion that we're offering. We have $500 that we're going to actually apply as a credit towards your closing costs, regardless of seller concessions, regardless of anything else for funds for closing. Navy Federal will apply a $500 credit towards your closing. Slide, please. All right, and then as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, our rate match option. So with Navy Federal, if you are working with us or working with another lender and you actually have a loan put together with them and you have their loan estimate, within 3 calendar days of locking that rate, you can send that over to Navy Federal. And the length of time I've been here at Navy Federal, we've always matched or beat the competitor's offer or rate. And if we can't, as you can see there, they give you $1,000 if they can't beat it or match it. So I can assure you, our rate department and are absolutely phenomenal. And like the first few slides, and our advantage is of Navy Federal as being very, very competitive with our rates and very aggressive with them. Another thing is there's no junk fees, hidden fees, or application fees with Navy Federal. And then again, we do have the special lock promotion, which is what I referred to a few slides before, which is our Freedom Lock. Our Freedom Lock option is if you lock a rate for 60 days with me as through your loan officer, we can do it at no charge, and it will automatically reduce it if the rates improve or pricing improves up to a 25% with no additional charge and nothing that you really actually have to do, other than I'll notify you when the rates have improved and disclose the documents to you so that you can keep track with us and know where we're at with your file and what's changed and why. Slide, please. And then we're going to go into some of our Navy Federal products. We have, as we go through the slides, you're going to see our Navy Federal products that we only offer to our members, and they're in-house products that no other lender and bank will have or offer. And then we'll have, of course, all of our traditional standard mortgages and programs and loan terms and things like that, as you'll see as we go through here. The first one that we're looking at here is our 100% no money down financing of your new home and your new mortgage. This is a great program for our veterans who, if we are working with a VA loan and we are not, for whatever reason, not falling into the VA loan approval requirements according to VA and your certificate of eligibility, we have 3 other options, and we're going to discuss those as well, to keep our veterans with 100% no money down, which is why our realtors really love working with us, especially if we do have a VA loan, and if we're right there and we can't go, then we have, as you can see here, the Homebuyers choice, we have the military's choice, and then the 5-5 arm, which we're going to talk about, and all 3 of those are 100% no money down. You have no private mortgage insurance, which is, as you can see on the slides, it'll be referred to as PMI, or MI, mortgage insurance, private mortgage insurance. So there'll be none of that on any loans that you deal with me as your loan officer. We have owner-occupied. You can have it as a primary or a second home. Now, one thing about the home buyer's choice, there is only a 5% down requirement for a second home. Most traditional products have 10 or 15 or 25%, depending on the terms and the loan that you chose. With the home buyer's choice, you can do your second homes with only 5% down. The rates are a fixed loan, so it's a full fixed loan for either 15 or 30 years. If you are a veteran and you are working with a VA loan or a realtor working with a VA loan, VA loans have a funding fee on there. The home buyer's choice and the military choice is no different. They have a funding fee. The only difference is it is 1.75% of the amount that you're financing. And then, of course, you can waive it for an add-on to your rate or an increase of your rate of 3.75. 99% of the time, this is the only fee as it is on a VA loan that you can actually roll into your loan amount. I get a lot of questions where people want to roll their closing costs into their purchase. That is a different program, and only if you own the equity into the home. On a purchase, you cannot roll any closing costs into your loan other than the VA funding fee or the funding fee that's required on the actual loan, home buyer's choice, or the military choice program we have. We have the conforming loan limits, anything up to 417, excuse me. Anything over 417 and up to $1 million is what we call our jumbo loans. As it says, they're non-conforming. So our jumbo loans we have as well, and they only require, I do believe it is 100% no money down on some of those, and then some of them do require, if it is a second home, a 10% down payment. But the seller's contribution, seller concessions, that's another main bullet point here at the bottom. How much can the sellers contribute towards your closing costs and prepaid items? On the home buyer's choice, they can go up to 6% of the actual sales price on the contract. Slide, please. More conventional programs. And I did want to also, before I get too far along with the military choice and the home buyer's choice, they can have a non-occupant co-borrower on that loan. So if we have a situation where our credit report has a little bit of derogatory items against it or some recent collections in the last 12 months, Navy Federal will take compensating factors for that loan approval, and we will allow you for a home buyer's choice to add a co-borrower on the loan to strengthen the application. We won't be able to use their income and assets, but if they have a good credit score and a good credit report, they will use that as a compensating factor to approve the loan. And also on the home buyer's choice and the military choice, we do have where they will do manufactured homes, subject properties that are manufactured home types, and duplexes as well. Here on the slide in front of you, you have just our traditional 30-year loan and our 15-year loan. They're basically conventional loan programs. They are fixed rates. We have conforming and non-conforming. Remember, non-conforming is a jumbo loan. Anything that's over the conforming loan limit of $417,000, you can go up to 95% of that. So if you're not looking to do 100% no money down, our 30-year conventional loan does require at least 5% down. So they'll do 95%. The only other major advantages of that is that last part of that bullet point where it says 95% loan to value, which is your LTV. There's no PMI again. So having no PMI or that extra mortgage insurance onto your monthly mortgage payment per month can save you hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. Again, it talks about our jumbo here on our traditional conventional loans. We go up to $2 million with no PMI. And as I was mentioning to you before, it is a 10% down on the jumbo traditional conventional 30-year or 15. We have our monthly payments. You can do once a month is traditional, and then our biweekly payments you can set up. And then our conventional loan products, we have a 10-year mortgage, fixed for 10 years. We have a 15 and a 30. As you can see, the terms there. And then the seller concessions are a little less on the traditional loans. They're 3% or more. And it just would be depending on the loan itself and what's needed to get the loan to closing. Slide, please. All right, and again, this is where it goes into our traditional programs where we have our adjustable rate mortgages, our ARM products, and these are our standard traditional loan programs on our ARMs. We have the 7-1 ARM, the 5-1, and the 3-1 ARMs. Those are traditional where they are fixed for the first number, so the 7-1 would be fixed for 7 years, and then each year after that it would adjust for the life of the loan, and that life is amortized over a 30-year loan term. So it would basically be fixed for 7, and then it would adjust for the remaining 23 years until the loan was paid off or refinanced, depending on what you chose to do. The minimum down payment required for those programs are 5% down. PMI can be required on those if they exceed over 80%. Those are just the traditional guidelines and traditional structures for those conventional loan programs. Thank you. These are my favorite programs. So if I have a veteran or I'm working with a VA loan or 100% no money down, and I'm wanting to try to max out my benefits, and I know it's something that we may not be keeping for a 30-year period, or we just want to take advantages of some of these programs and the payments and the cost itself. These are Navy Federal loan programs that is not offered through any other bank, lender, or investor. These are in-house programs that Navy Federal is going to service, and they're only offered to our members. And if you can, from the previous slide to this one of the major differences that you see is there's only 2 types of those ARMs, is a 3-5 and a 5-5. The second major difference is the fact that the ones prior had the 7-1, the 5-1, and the 3-1, and on here the second number is a 5. Well, what that means is your rate is going to be fixed for the first 3 years, and then it would adjust every 5 years after that. So my favorite program, if I have 100% no money down, and one of our members that qualifies for that program, it does not have a funding fee, it does not have a prepayment penalty, there's no PMI, and it is fixed for 5 years, and it can adjust every 5 years after that. The most it can adjust is 2%. It can adjust up or down, and that's something that's almost unheard of on the traditional ARMs. This one can adjust up or down, and it has a cap of 5% over the life of the loan. So the most it can ever go up is 5% from where the rate originally started, and the most it can go up every 5 years or down is 2%. It works for our traditional loans and our jumbo size loans. 100% no money down, and if you look on the slide, you'll see there's nothing on there that says anything about a funding fee, which can save you thousands of dollars as well. So if we have a situation where we have income coming in and expenses going out, when you're doing 100% no money down and you have that funding fee rolled into your loan, that could create a budgeting issue. So if we have something like that that comes up, we can always look at the 5-5 ARM to eliminate that, to get you into the home and get you set to where you have the keys to your new home. And again, the seller concessions are up to 6% as well, and it's a great, phenomenal program, and I strongly encourage anyone who's looking into purchasing a new home to always look at all the products out there to make sure the one that fits your needs and your family's budget, and do as much research on it as possible. And this is one I would strongly recommend doing a little bit of research on to see if it would be something to entertain or something that you think would work for you and your family. Slide, please. And then this is just back to our conventional programs that we have. These are just standard conventional programs. This is our interest-only program. Interest-only programs, they are fixed where you pay just the interest of the loan for the first 10 years. They do require some PMI if they're over 80% loan to value. They are fixed for 30 years. So they are fixed for 30 years. You have just interest for the first 10 years, and then you pay principal and interest for the last remaining 20. And then, of course, the interest-onlys also have an adjustable ARM, adjustable rate mortgage, which is our ARM product. They have a 30-year term, which means that they're amortized over a 30-year. They'll be fixed for the interest only for the first 10 years, and then they would follow the traditional ARM adjustments and guidelines as they would on the previous slides for those programs. They do require a minimum at least 10% down, and they can require, as I said before, PMI on them if they're over 80% loan to value. Slide. And then we're into our VA loans. So with our VA loans, we have our 30-year and our 15. They require no money down. They have the maximum loan amount will vary by county, and you can go to the link there to research it. But if you contact me and you give me the zip code and give me the application to put in, I'll actually run that through VA for you and can tell you. Basically, what that's telling is if your loan size is over the county loan limit, so most is 417,000, and if you're looking for something to go over that and you don't want to do a jumbo loan, VA will allow you to go over the county loan limit, and it's basically your loan amount minus the county loan limit by 25%, and it gives us the minimum payment and the minimum loan amount that you'll actually be qualifying for through VA to keep you from having to go through the jumbo loan status. The funding fee for VA is going to be based off of your certificate of eligibility, your length of service, your branch of service, etc. And that can be from exemption, depending on your separation of service and basically your whole certificate of eligibility, which VA will request one of those for you once we get the application and start working on your mortgage loan. We'll actually look into your certificate of eligibility for you as well. And then your range, if you already have a previous VA loan, your funding fee is going to be 3.30. If you've never used your VA loan before, it's going to be 2.150, and this is going to be based off your loan size. So if your loan amount is $100,000, then your funding fee would be $3,300 if it was at 3.30, and that is the fee that you can actually finance into your loan amount or roll it into your cost of your loan. The VA loans are government guaranteed, so they share the risk of the loan with us as Navy Federal, so there's more, a lower risk for everyone involved, so the rates are stronger and more favorable for the VA loans. And of course, it's all based off your eligibility of service. And then the seller concessions are around 4%, but there are more that can be allowed depending on the file and the circumstances if need be. What I'm going into last is the documentation of some things that you're going to want to use for when getting ready to do your purchase. And before I go into that, John, if I can just go one slide back to the VA loan one more time. I just want to let everyone know that we do have gift funds on here that can be used from a family member if someone wants to help you with your closing costs, etc. So we have unlimited amount for gift funds that can be awarded to a VA loan. The only thing I want to let everyone know is the gift funds cannot be used for a down payment because if you do apply at least 5% down on your VA loan, it can reduce your funding fee, and I will go over that with you if that's something we're entertaining or something we want to do. That would be something that myself as your loan officer and you would discuss when working up the application. We also have our VA loans are good for manufactured home, duplexes, and condos. The only thing with the condos is we have to make sure they're VA eligible. If they're not, VA will not allow us to do that particular condo project. And then, of course, we also do our new constructions that we can do on VA loans as well. So with that, if there's anything that you need on that, we'll get to the questions here in a moment, and we'll go over some other things as well. As far as in our documentation, documentation, each loan is going to be different from the next loan because each individual home buyer and their needs and their family's goals and accomplishments that they want to accomplish with the home buying and the home purchase is going to be a little different. So, and with that, we have a variety of documentation that we're going to be looking for, and it's going to be kind of specific to that transaction. So the standard things that we're going to look for is our current 30 days of pay stubs, our leave and earning statement, which in the VA loans is our LES. If we are receiving any type of Social Security disability or Social Security income, or if we're receiving any type of retirement income, pension, retirement, any type of VA benefits, then we're going to look for the award letter or the 1099. If we're relocating or transferring to the subject area, if we're active duty, then we're going to look for our statement of service. We're going to look for the transfer orders or the re-enlisting the papers. Or if we are just out of the military and we need our 2 years of employment, then we have a prior job in the military. We're going to look for your DD-214. We have our W-2s and 1099s for the past 2 years. We'll have 2 months bank statements for any banks accounts that you have that are outside of Navy Federal. So if you have outside accounts, outside assets and reserves, we're going to look at 2 months of those accounts so that we can make the loan as strong as it can possibly be. The retirement investment accounts, if we have IRAs, 401ks, TSP accounts, stocks, bonds, etc., we're going to want to see those current statements with the vested balance. And if we're using those for funds to close or cash to close, then we're going to want to see the statement, the terms of withdrawal, and then a current statement showing the funds being withdrawn from that and no loan is having to be taken for those funds to be used. When we're dealing with bank statements, when we're dealing with tax returns if we're self-employed or commission, anything like that, anytime we send documents in, we want to make sure we don't black anything out, don't mark through anything. We want to make sure that the account information is there, your name and information is there, and the company that is holding the investment, their information is there, all in the statement, and we want to send over all the pages. So even if page 5 of 5 is blank, we still want to send over all 5 pages, and we don't want to black anything out. It makes the file run as smooth as it can possibly be when we have the correct documentation in a legible format that is in conjunction with the file and the actual items that are needed. What we don't want to do is we don't want to start sending in a whole bunch of mass documents that are not needed or information that is not required for your loan. So myself as your loan officer and Mr. Mayfield as your real estate agent, that is going to be our jobs, and that's what we do when you hire us to do this. We work for you, so we're going to make sure that the communication is there. We're going to make sure we're getting the documents when we need them and make sure that we're getting the proper documents to satisfy the loan requirements for the ultimate goal, the keys to your home, and the closing on the new home. Credit explanations, if we have any thing on the credit report that we need to touch base on, maybe we just sold something, or maybe we just purchased something, or any type of thing like that, the reviewer can ask for a credit explanation where we just in our own handwriting, to whom it may concern, what this was and why, which is another great reason of having services and the file being serviced by Navy Federal is our underwriters are in-house, and it makes it great to be able to communicate to them if needed. Verification of deposits. We're moving. Terry, I've got everything packed up. I bank with this bank. I've been there for 30 years. We can obviously do a verification of that deposit and a transaction history for 60 days. And also if we have a large deposit that's on your account that we need verified. Gift letter, it's going to be the relationship, who it's from and where it's coming from. They'll want to see that those funds are available from that individual supplying you the funds, and then showing them where they go into your Navy Federal checking and savings account is what we would prefer, so that we can show those funds are there. Gift funds and gift letters are something that is not going to be expected or required to be paid back. So they have specific guidelines for those, and we can go over those if we're using those for funds for closing. If we have any additional properties, anything that we have that's already rented, then we're going to want to see copies of the lease and the rental agreements for those properties. And then if we are self-employed, we're going to want to see 2 years personal and business returns, all pages, as well as a current profit and loss to show that the business is still operating and producing and going in the right direction. And then of course we have our standard VA documentation. Standard VA documentation, we're going to have a VA addendum to the purchase contract. You're going to have your VA verification of your benefits, and then those things are going to be listed whenever we receive your purchase contract and we start working on your documentation during the application process and during the contract process. Those things are going to be listed, and I will be personally communicating with you to make sure we get those items checked off the checklist as quickly as possible, because some of those items are very, very, very important and very specific to a VA loan, and the VA loan cannot move through the VA process until those documents are received. Next slide, please. So at this time, if you would like, if you have any, I would like to go ahead and open up the call to any questions that you have. And if you'd like, as John said, you can always either shoot me an email or ask us any questions that you have for me or Mr. Mayfield. Or at this time, if anyone would have any questions, we're going to go ahead and open the floor up to everybody else.
Yes, we want to invite you. If you have any questions, you can type those in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand and we could unmute you if you'd like to do that as well. Terry, I had a couple of questions for you. And first of all, thank you so much. That was a lot of information. And I'm glad you touched on just the wide variety of products that Navy Federal has, besides just a VA loan. And I know for the typical buyer, they may be like overwhelmed with the terminology and the types of loans. And we talk about jumbos and PMI and 3-year and 5-year, but your job really, I mean, what the buyer needs to understand is when they come to you and you begin to pre-qualify them, whether they're a veteran or not, you're going to match them to the right product for their needs. Can you talk a little bit about maybe an example or an instance when someone came in thinking they wanted to get this type of loan, but then after you were able to see a little bit of what was going on, you suggested they went to another type of loan. Do you have an example of maybe a recent example of a situation like that?
Oh, absolutely, John. That's a great, great question, by the way. And to be honest with you, it's literally a question that is asked and answered pretty much every day working in the mortgage industry. When we get the information and the member fills out their application and brings it over to us, you are absolutely 100% correct. My job is to then take them and max out the benefits and strengthen that loan as strong as I can to make sure that that home buyer and our members are getting everything and every benefit that's possibly available for them in the loan product and the loan program and actually the process in general. So a good example of that would be we have 100% no money down conventional loan, and the homeowner comes in and they want to then apply money towards that down payment to eliminate that funding fee or to hopefully reduce their rate. Usually when I hear that, or if I hear someone say, well, I'm transferring or I'm relocating into this subject area, but I'm probably going to be deployed here, or I'm probably going to be, moving. I'm a young couple, and I'm probably not going to live here for 30 years.
Exactly.
Immediately what I want to show them is the 5-5 arm, because what I want to do is I want to take, and one of the main benefits that I'm looking at as your loan officer is how can I keep most, if not all, your money in your pocket? So that when you go to closing, the only thing you need is a pen, and hopefully we are going in there with very little to no money down, and no closing costs as well, and also possibly getting money paid into the loan, our appraisal fee, our earnest money, trying to get any of that back that we can get, if not all of it. So when I'm looking at that, and another good example, John, is when someone has a lot of assets and reserves in their they've worked all their life to save up their 401k, their IRA, their money market fund, their TPS, whatever their savings and their lump that they have. I want to also take the time to show them the big picture and break it down to where we can get into this loan with very little to no money and use those funds to either invest in other things or to have those for rainy day funds, and especially if we're first-time home buyers, because I learned when I got into my home, you want to paint, you want to get furniture, you want to get new appliances, you want to do some landscaping, things like that. Having those funds liquid and available still in your possession after closing is a major, major benefit. And that's one reason with all the different products and things, once I get the information and the story of what we're trying to accomplish, I can then basically take and start putting a loan program together and a mortgage specific to that homeowner.
Excellent. Now, here's a question. What if I don't have a Navy Federal in my community? Can I still use Navy Federal for my home loan?
Absolutely. Another great question. We can absolutely use Navy Federal for any state that you're in, because like I said before, and as you mentioned, we are licensed in all 50 states. We have loan officers, including myself. You can have my personal phone number if you like, my cell phone, all my information is here coming up, and you can contact me 7 days a week up till 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. You can always text me, email me, we can always schedule appointments. So having that I'm on Pacific time, Terry's on Central, or I'm on Eastern, and he's on Mountain, can all be eliminated by you just letting me know what's going to work best for you and what's going to work best for you and your schedule. Then we make those arrangements so that we're also available. Our underwriters are there 7 days a week, so if I need something to work on a file, then I can send that to be in the process of working on it. As far as in the banking options with Navy Federal, anyone who has internet access can basically have access to Navy Federal. So if you have a ways means of getting on the computer or smartphone, tablet, things like that, we have the Navy Federal app where you can go in. We have some of the top technology available for our members as well, is including where you can take a picture of your check and deposit it into your account electronically. As far as in membership and those advantages and things, I would encourage anyone who has any questions on that to personally either shoot me an email or give me a call to discuss how to become a membership, how to fulfill those membership options, and how to handle virtual banking if we don't have an actual branch in your area and your zip code.
I know the National Association of Realtors recently opened a credit union, and I had never belonged to a credit union. And I know there are people who they know of credit unions, maybe they've never participated, but so I joined our National Association of Realtors credit union, and I have to say it's been wonderful. In fact, we have a shared branch, what they call a shared branch here in Farmington, where I can take checks and deposit them or pay bills. I do a lot of, as you said, take snapping checks with my smartphone and uploading them. We're getting used to that. I've been on vacation in certain areas and have used shared branch facilities. So if you've not experienced a credit union, it's no different than a bank, and it's very seamless. Now, I have a question for you. Back to our VA loan. We've got time maybe for one more question. We appreciate you watching, and if you'll got a couple more questions, and we want to give you that contact information one more time for myself, and you have Terry's up on the screen. But Terry, let's talk about the VA, going back to the VA loan again. Let's say there's someone watching right now, whether they're watching the live recording or uh, the re-recording of the webinar. And they're a veteran, and they think they have an entitlement. They were told that, and maybe they haven't checked on it. What's the first step they really need to do to get the ball rolling? Would they call you to maybe see about getting pre-qualified? Should they try to get their uh, eligible their letter? Tell us what would you suggest would be their first step in
The,
this
the
home buying
first step,
process?
the
Yes.
first step that I would want them to do is I'd want them to contact me via either contacting me at the office. You can either shoot me a text or shoot me an email letting me know what you're entertaining and what your goals are. Like, I'm trying to complete this purchase. I would like to look into a VA loan. At that point in time, to complete a mortgage application, we are going to be required to look at the actual credit report. When we do that, it's not going to have any effect or bearing on their score in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to bring it up or down. It's going to basically be required by law to complete the mortgage application. Once I have that information, we will then take that information, we will then run it through VA, we'll check their certificate of eligibility, the requirements, and we'll basically put the customized loan according to them and their home buying and their goals that they want to accomplish with their family in the new home purchase. And we'll basically just do it one step at a time, and we won't move to do anything else until we have those steps completed. So the very first thing I would encourage them to do is to contact myself, and then basically we just have a short conversation on what we're trying to accomplish, and then I would get to work and putting it together accordingly.
Excellent. Well, and I would say, as your real estate professional, you need to get pre-approved first. You need to call Terry and let him help you with that process. Find out what you're approved for. A lot of times, I have buyers, and a lot of my real estate friends, we have buyers who come, and it's always exciting to look at homes, and that's what we love to do. And we want to take you out and show you homes, but at the same time, we don't want to be showing you properties or homes in a price category that perhaps maybe you couldn't afford, or even taking up someone's valuable time, such as a seller who gets their home ready for a showing, when perhaps maybe you're still just a few months out from qualifying for a home loan. And that's not a problem. Don't worry. Sometimes people go to Terry or myself, and maybe they're 6 months or 7 months away from really being pre-qualified to get that dream home they want to get. But working through Terry or myself, we can help you with that process. I have both of our contact numbers up on the screen. My website is mayfieldre.com, and I actually selected our team. You can watch a little video and learn more about me. But you can also, if you see in the bottom right corner, a lot of times I have an instant messaging and I'm online, so you can actually talk to me right there. But if I'm not online, you can always leave me a message. But Terry, I want to say thank you again for this information. His contact information is there. As I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, Terry's a straight shooter. He did a great job for me with a good friend of mine who got a VA loan, and that's how I found out about Terry. This gentleman was using Terry, and we had these two closings, and I'm looking at the closing statements, and they're almost the same dollar amount. And I'm thinking, wow, this one on the right with Mr. Dixon, it really was a lot less money. It went much faster, and I really just appreciated your follow up and attention, and your just willingness to help get the deal closed. So I would highly recommend Terry. Again, I want to remind you, you may have watched this and you were anywhere in the United States because I'm doing some Facebook advertising. Remember, you can reach out to me and say, "Hey, John, we've talked to Terry," and of course, if you talk to Terry and you tell him you watched the webinar, he'll make sure that you get my contact information. But your next step would be to contact me so that I can put you in touch with the right real estate professional. And again, I don't make any money off of you contacting me. You don't have to pay me anything. All of that is done between me and other real estate agents that I choose to put you with. But I'm only going to put you with folks that I know will give you great service and treat you fairly and give you the kind of service you want. But and I think that really, Terry, I always tell people that I've been doing this since I was 18. My mother had an office. I took over her company, and I'm in a small community. Normally, I've seen a lot of real estate agents come and go, but to have 37 years experience, I know that to have that kind of a track record, you have to give good service, and you have to know that you want them to be a customer for life. And I know that's what Terry has, that same mindset as well. But we would love to help you with a VA loan or even just a regular conventional loan. Your first steps to give Terry a call and let him get started. And then when you're ready to find an agent, or if you're right here in Southeast Missouri, then you can get in touch with me. Terry, thank you again. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I learned some new things, and I hope our audience did as well. But with
They
that,
did.
we want to conclude the presentation and say thanks to everyone. And again, feel free to call Terry or myself if you have any questions at all. Thanks again for watching, and we hope you have a great evening.
Thank you and have a great night.